This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
This is Creepy Soup on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Hello, and welcome to episode 146 of Creepy Soup on the PFC Entertainment Network. I am Jill.
I'm Plum Trophy.
So we welcome you to whatever this fucking chaos is about to be. We are extremely sorry.
Very, very.
That it has been a couple weeks since we have dropped anything. I have had not a great go of things. After the last episode, I went to the dentist and I had a temporary filling put in. And then a few days later, that led to an emergency room visit, which led to antibiotics that did not
do a damn thing.
Well, it would have if I was able to keep it down, because the antibiotic caused a couple days of some serious
upchucking
and another trip to the emergency room. And I said, fuck it, I'm not doing the root canal, just pull the bitch. So it's been pulled, so now my mouth feels the way it should feel. It's a little weird, I got a hole in there now, but yeah, I'm constantly doing that, what you just did. So it's weird. It's weird chewing gum.
I got a tooth pulled on the opposite side.
Yeah, mine over here in the back. It was not a fun process. I missed work. That's how bad it was. I missed 2 days of work. So that honestly is the reason for the lack of recording this time. I'm sure scheduling would have been an issue too, but this time, honestly, it was me. It was all me and my mouth. Which is better now, so now I can run it again. How are you?
I'm okay. Had to get mandated at work several times this week.
Yeah, that's... if you don't know what she does for her real job, she works at a group home as a direct
support professional.
Okay, see, different...
At an AFC home.
Yeah, different companies that, like, the one was, direct care worker.
Yeah, just direct care. But DSP...
glorified butt wipers, in a lot of cases, is what we are.
Yeah.
Or were. I mean, I'm now a shop rat, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you are there and somebody else calls in, you're going to get that phone call or the text message saying, sorry, you gotta
You're
stay.
stuck there until somebody's willing to come in to cover, or until the next shift.
And I feel so bad for you because I remember that. It's not fun, especially like when you got all your shit, your bag and everything ready to go. You've remote started your car.
Yeah.
Stay.
It was like, bullshit when somebody tries to do it last minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be 2 hours at least prior to your shift. Anything after that's supposed to be like a write-up.
Yeah, I mean, and I do get, last minute shit happens. I get it, but when you're of that mindset, I'm going home.
Right, it's like I did my job, my shift is over, I want to go home, like everybody else gets to. No, and like this week alone, I was mandated twice because the person that called in just so happened to be a med passer. And then, so in total, third shift was mandated 3 times this week for somebody for our first shift. And our management ended up texting the group chat that from now on, because she feels like it's being taken advantage of now.
Yeah.
So now she will not accept it unless she has a doctor's note. So, sick or not, if you don't have a doctor's note, you're still coming in for your shift because she's over it.
Yeah. I feel bad. Again, I know what that's like, and it's just straight up not a good time.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sorry. So, real quick, it popped in my head, for merch, if you are interested in all the PFC shows, you can go to pfcstore.printify.me. If you want Creepy Soup merch, it's pfccreepysoup.printify.me. And if you want some of the cool ass summer shit like beach towels,
I know I haven't went on there to see like some of the new stuff that Jay has put out.
There's beach towels, there's bathing suits, there's swimming trunks, there's
what kind of bathing suits? Nobody wants to order one of those one-piece grandma get-ups.
Yeah, it's a one-piece grandma get-up. But I mean, they're cute. They're cute. The little logos he's got for summer, it's kind of cool.
I still want him to come out with those V-necks.
Yes. Jason,
and crop tops.
Well, not all of us need crop tops. Some of us have fupa.
So I have those special pants that just suck it all in.
Yeah, well, if you're wearing pants that are up that high to suck it in, why wear a fucking crop top?
It doesn't defeat the purpose, Mother.
No.
Some people, it still looks good on them. Okay?
Well, I don't like to advertise my But anyway, there's cool summer shit. That's pfcsummer.printify.me.
I cannot. I hate you. Alright, so what are we doing, Madre?
Well, we also have to announce. Stay tuned.
Oh, yes. We have a big announcement coming up.
Big announcement. Big, exciting.
We're trying to build.
I don't know when it's actually going to drop on the other page. And if it drops there first,
so be it.
You'll either see it there,
or here.
But we're still going to make a big ass announcement here.
Yeah, we're trying to build up the
suspense. Be suspenseful. I don't know what that was. I don't know. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's what, 1 o'clock in the morning? Oh, 12:59. So yeah.
Oh well.
I've worked a full shift.
I've worked a shift and a half.
Yeah. And yeah, so we're tired, but we're here. So what I have going on for this episode, it's going to be a quick list. One, because we've been gone a while, we feel like you need to build your immunity to us back up. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
So, I did find, because I want to say one of the first, like, how do I say this? One of the first adult books I read because I grew up in a time where Sweet Valley High ruled everything. I really would.
The good old days.
Yes. So, I was an avid reader. Fucking, you know this. And I loved Sweet Valley High, the series. Fucking loved it. I
Spit it out.
I didn't love school. I didn't
Who
love
does?
it. But, so, Nina, my mother, would make me a deal that for every C or B I got, I could get a regular Sweet Valley High book. If I got any A's, I could get the super edition, which could be holiday editions. They would go on a vacation, and let me tell you. Okay, nope, we're not doing that. So, the one year, or the one marking period, I got like 2 A's, and the rest were B's and C's. I think I actually made, I don't know, the merit roll. It wasn't honor roll. I think it was the merit roll. So all my grades, I had good grades. So I ended up getting like four regular books and 2 special editions. So me and Nina had went to Target, and I picked out my books. Like, you know, it's a series. You got to get them in order. You can't read them out of order. That's just fucking wrong.
Yeah.
So I get my books and the super editions. And we come home, I go upstairs, and I immediately start reading. Like, immediately, because I was a nerd. You wish. Anyway, I come downstairs. I would say we were back from Target, like, around 2 o'clock, maybe 3. I come downstairs around 9:30 that night, and I said, I'm bored. Nina says, I just bought you them books. I said, I've read them already. I read all 6 books.
That's a problem.
That's...
Better start rereading, bitch.
You know what? If I could find the Sweet Valley High series, I would totally read the whole thing again. So, anyway, but...
It sucks you don't have those ones anymore, though.
I don't even know. They were probably in the attic, or I don't know. I don't know what happened to those, but I had quite a lot of them.
Buddy was small enough, you should have shoved them in there. In the attic, you should have shoved them in there.
They might have been in there, and for all I know, they're still in there. I don't fucking know. But one of the first true crime books I ever read, it was, I believe it was called If You Really Loved Me. And I think I actually covered the case with you. I don't know. The daughter's name was Cinnamon Brown.
I don't remember that one.
Okay.
Cinnabon.
The dad was David. And the dad convinced the daughter to kill the stepmother.
Usually it's the other way around.
Well, the dad was sleeping with the stepmother's sister.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
Messy.
Yeah, fucking messy. And that was one of the first true crime books I ever read. And, I mean, I don't think it's the same kind of controversial this list is, but that is a very controversial. Let's have our 14-year-old daughter kill my wife, and the wife had a baby, and then, but I'm sleeping with the wife's sister, and he eventually has a baby with the sister. It's
messy as fuck.
Messy. And she finally realized that the dad, she ended up going to prison, obviously, and the dad is just living his best life, spending the life insurance money. And she's like, nope. And she talks, and he goes to prison.
Did she get out or no?
She's out. I believe he died in prison. Yeah. But, so one of the first adult books I ever read was like a true crime book. But, I think I did an episode, but this is a list of 10 controversial true crime books. I'm just saying, the first adult book I ever read was true crime. Did we get that? I don't know if I made that point, but anyway. So, number 10 on this one, I have not heard of it, but it does sound pretty interesting. It's called American Desperado by John Roberts and Evan Wright. And the little write-up here, which I'm going to read for you, says, in crime, one rule that is often true is that snitches are the real villains.
Yeah.
Are they though?
Quote, unquote. No one likes a rat.
Yes. That is what makes American Desperado so interesting. It tells the story of John Roberts, who worked for the Medellin
Yeah.
cartel during the 1980s. During that time, he became a chief transporter of booga sugar into the U.S. And the novel is an accumulation of 3 years of conversations between John Roberts and Evan Wright, who wrote Generation Kill. The novel isn't deemed controversial for the material in it. Wright is a solid journalist and it is well documented. The problem is Roberts himself. He went to prison for smuggling on a reduced sentence after... Well, I don't want to say it and get someone offended.
Well, then they're in the wrong place.
I get it, but you know.
We don't accept snow bunnies here.
Okay, so he went to prison for the smuggling on a reduced sentence after he cooperated with the authorities. He also talks about being involved in a number of murders, but was never charged.
How are you gonna let somebody... He was involved with a bunch of murders. How the fuck?
Yeah.
Does he not get any charges? Who the fuck did he bring down?
So it raises the question, should someone of that nature be rewarded with $1 million book and movie deal?
No.
No. I don't think so. I mean, there's that whole law. I forget what
It
law.
just depends. Like, did his... Did all the snitching he did bring somebody higher up than him down?
I mean, I guess I would assume. It doesn't say.
Well, because that's where,
See, where's her hard?
it was the 80s, so that... I watched the show about the Queen of Cocaine.
Griselda? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about
so
that
I'm
last
almost
week at
wondering
work.
if that's who, because I think she was in prison in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about that last week at work. The guy that I bought that shirt to wear.
The Netflix show, me and Mike watched it. It's pretty good.
Okay. Number 9 on the list is The Wolf of Wall Street, which became a movie.
Yeah. Saw that too.
I haven't watched it. I'm not a DiCaprio fan.
I'm not either, but I still watched it.
You know what? He was one of the most irritating parts of Growing Pains, besides Kirk Cameron. You probably don't know what I'm talking about.
I know who that is.
Okay. His face always irritated the fuck out of me. I don't know why. All the girls in the school was like, oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, see, it's his sister that bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you believe what you believe, but never mind. That's not what this is about. So anyway, Jordan Belfort. Well, I was going to say Belfort. Reading is hard. Jordan Belfort's memoir, The Wolf of Wall Street, was the basis for the Martin Scorsese film starring
Leonardo DiCaprio
as Jordan Belfort. The movie was accused of glorifying Belfort's lifestyle and of being morally ambiguous. However, Belfort's novel does not paint his lifestyle in the same light. What is controversial is how Belfort acted after releasing the book. He stole more than $100 million from investors and then blew their money on illegal activities like buying copious amounts of cocaine, probably from the dude from the last book. I'm just saying. And liaison, like having relations with high-class prostitutes. For all the money he stole, he only spent 22 months in a minimum security prison.
Minimum.
When he wrote the book, which was adapted into a movie, it made him a minor celebrity.
Yeah, but see, you gotta get the high-profile prostitutes. Because you don't want the other ones. The other ones don't care if they got shit Ajax won't get rid of, okay? Where these high-end prostitutes, they get tested out.
Well, that's what it says. They were high class. So, yeah.
He made sure he didn't get an STD.
After the success of the book and the movie, people began to question if he really felt remorse for anything he did. For example, Belfort is currently a motivational speaker, and he essentially explains the scam he used.
Why? So other people could try to use it
before he was arrested to attendees who pay between $75 and $599 was arrested. Nope. Each person paid, I guess, depending on where your seats are. I don't know, or how detailed you want this explanation. You're either paying $75 or $600. While doing this, he stays in top-notch hotels and travels first class. Meanwhile, he has only paid back about $11.6 million of the $110 million he has been ordered to pay back. He says that all the profit from the book and the movie deal has gone to pay back investors, when in fact only a tiny percentage has gone back to
people he stole from.
Yeah, people he stole from. So, top-notch guy.
Sounds like a real fucking winner.
Yeah. See why? Never mind. Nope. Number 8 on the list are Cries Unheard, the story of Mary Bell. She was a little something.
Like, what kind of something? Like a little Aubrey something?
Oh, let's hope not. Because I think she was 11 when she committed her first murder. Actually 10. So, because on the eve of her 11th birthday, so that would be
well on her way.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 1968, Mary Bell committed her first murder in England, strangling a 4-year-old boy to death. Just 2 months later, Bell and a 13-year-old friend named Norma Joyce Bell.
Huh?
Norma Joyce Bell, right? That's what it says. Strangled a 3-year-old boy. Bell returned later to carve her initials into the body and mutilate it with scissors. Mary was arrested and placed in a Young Offenders Institute for 12 years. When she was released at the age of 23, she was given a clean record and a new name.
Yeah, just so she could fucking do it all over again. Dumbasses.
As an adult, Mary Bell agreed to be interviewed by Gitta Sereny, who wrote a book about the case in 1972. The results of the interviews were made into a book called Cries Unheard, the story of Mary Bell. The book told Bell's life story in a sympathetic way and actually shows Bell as a victim. However, the real outrage came when it turned out that Sereny, whatever her name is, was going to share the profits with Bell. When it was published in 1988, it was in 1998. Is that what I said?
You said 89 or something. 88. You said 88.
Okay, well, it was 98. I'm so sorry. It was incredibly controversial. Tony Blair said it was inherently repugnant and that he'd look for a way to ensure Bell wouldn't get any money. However, the book went on to be a bestseller in the United Kingdom.
Shocker.
Well,
so did her new name ever get out?
I truly don't know. I'm sure if you looked it up, you could find it. Well, that's just like
Handy dandy phone.
What's her name? The Ken and Barbie killers.
For her.
What the fuck was her name? Karla Homolka. She got a new name, but people knew who she was because that was a very famous case. They were very famous killers in Canada. she got a new name, and she was caught. They killed young girls together, her and her husband, ex-husband. Now she's now remarried with a couple kids of her own, but she was found working at a school, and people turned her in because she was working. Their first victim together was her younger sister. They drugged her so the husband could have her as a Christmas present, because Carla worked in a vet's office, and she brought home tranquilizers from the vet's office and gave them to her sister, and they basically overdosed her. Yeah, so that was sweet.
Okay, so following Mary Bell's release, she was granted anonymity and a new identity to allow her to live a normal life. It was this anonymity was extended in 2003 by High Court order to protect her daughter and now granddaughter. So she's a mom and is a grandmother.
Well, my guess is she hasn't reoffended.
No, I'm pretty sure she has. She just hasn't gotten caught. She probably learned her lesson on that.
Yeah. Okay, so number 7.
That's sick and twisted. How does a 10-year-old just go around killing little babies? It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what it's like at 10 years old. Give me a break.
Yeah, and then, she just gets out,
Everything.
Which, in the meantime, the family of those 2 little boys, they don't get them back.
Right, and then she got to go on and have her own child, and now she has a grandchild.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
Okay, so number 7 on the list is Under the Banner of Heaven by John Krakauer.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Krakauer? I don't know. We're just going to call him John, because I'm not going to keep saying that.
I want to call him sauerkraut.
So, Into the Wild author, Jim, same last name, Krakauer, his 3rd novel, Under the Banner of Heaven, has 2 storylines. The first tells the story of 3 Mormon brothers, Ron, Dan, and Alan Lafferty. In 1984, Ron and Dan started to suffer from hard financial times, and it was this time that they wanted to join a more fundamentalist splinter group of Mormonism called the School of Prophets. The group followed early Mormon doctrine and polygamy. Alan's wife, Brenda, was strongly against it and quite vocal about her beliefs. She trashed the idea to her sisters-in-law and wouldn't allow her husband to join. When Ron's wife left him, he blamed Brenda for poisoning her against him. Ron was able to convince Dan that God told him that Brenda needed to be removed. So Dan went to his brother's house and slit the throats of Brenda and his infant niece, Erica. They were arrested, but showed little remorse for what they did.
Shocker.
And just because I forgot to mention this in the beginning, this is from listverse.com. Sorry, I completely forgot. And I am reading.
So it's quoted.
It's quoted, but I'm also changing a few things here and there.
So it's not 100% plagiarized.
So the second part of the book was much more controversial because Krakow, John. See, it says John, but then it also says Jim. I don't fucking know.
They're brothers.
So anyway, John/Jim also tells the bizarre story of the Mormon Church and compares those events to the modern-day dangerous Mormons like the Lafferty brothers and Brian David Mitchell. Mitchell had been arrested for kidnapping Elizabeth Smart, which that was a huge, huge story.
Yeah.
Around the same time, John/Jim was writing the book. This, of course, did... Oh, you whore.
You whore.
Whore. Jumped ahead for me. This, of course, did not sit well with the Church of Latter-day Saints, They said that using fanatical people to represent a whole culture is like saying every German is a Nazi.
That part.
Even critics believe that it is a one-sided attack on the religion, and the comparisons weren't strong enough to justify it. That is actually one I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that one. But I think it would be interesting, but I also don't like the one-sided part of it.
Right. Because there's two sides to every story.
Well, I mean, like, my thing is the whole attack on a religion.
Yeah.
Because
I think it's because of who they were.
Right.
Like, their crime that was committed.
Right. They're choosing, like it says, the more fanatical of the followers.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like, instead of seeing the person...
Yeah.
Who committed the act, all they see is, oh, it's the religion.
Yeah.
The religion's the reason why they did what they did, when they're just mentally fucked, and
yeah,
you're not. A religion doesn't make you you. You're your own person.
No, but some people do make their whole personality their religion, and that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Totally different.
And some people are just as shitty.
Okay, so number 6 on the list. I have not read the book. I do want to read the book, but I've seen the movie several times. Several times. You may have watched it. Sleepers.
I don't know. I might have.
That's the one where the teenagers, they live in, what is that, Devil's in here. New York. I forget what it's called. It's been a minute since I've seen the movie, but it's one of those movies that if you've seen it, you will not forget it.
Well, you completely forgot some shit.
I forget. I just forget what the neighborhood's called. Like Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen. I knew it was Devil something. Hell's Kitchen. That's it. Okay, so these teenage boys, they're bored. So they find a hot dog vendor. And they get one of the boys to order a hot dog. And then they steal the guy's cart. And they go to push it down the subway stairs. And it, like, crushes somebody. So they go to, like, a juvenile detention center.
Mm-hmm.
Where the guards there, do bad things to the boys.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Well, casinos think they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. So, and, you know, this was a place for troubled kids, so they, you know...
It doesn't matter.
They felt like...
Even people in juvie or prison,
right, but
they
what
still
I'm saying
have rights.
Right, but what I'm saying is, they figured, okay, they're badass kids, no one gives a fuck about it, or they wouldn't be here, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Not that it makes it right or anything like that. It does not. That's probably their mindset. Or, ooh, free ass. I don't know. I don't think the same way they do. So.
Right. It's like, okay, free ass, so fuck each other.
Right. Okay, so Sleepers was written by Lorenzo Carcaterra.
Say that 7 times fast.
I could barely say it once in the speed I did. So, yeah, I know you've seen the movie because Dad and I watched it many times. So it was made into a movie in 1996. It's a harrowing memoir about 4 boys from New York City who were incarcerated at a reform school after a prank went dangerously wrong, which I just explained all that. While in the reform school, they were mentally, physically, and sexually abused by a group of guards led by a man named Sean Noakes. Now, here's what pisses me off. I, unlike my co-host of the 80s show, I love Kevin Bacon.
I love Kevin Bacon.
I love him. I hate him in this movie because he plays the main CO that does this stuff. I hate him in this movie. I fucking hate him in this movie. I hate that he was in this movie. 19 years later, 2 of the boys, John and Tommy, are violent gang members. Michael is an assistant district attorney, and he is played by Brad Pitt. in the movie. And Lorenzo is played by Jason Patrick.
Okay.
And the other two, I forget who is who. It's John Eldred, and I forgot who the other one is. Huh. And the main, the teenager, the main one I remember is Brad Renfro. He died. But yeah, so Michael and Tommy happened to see Sean Noakes, the main CO, and Lorenzo, the one who wrote the book, is a journalist at this time. So what happens is
So 2 of the 4 turned out better than the other 2.
Yeah. So Tommy and John run into Noakes. So they meet up with Michael and Lorenzo, and they hatch this plan. They're going to kill Sean Noakes, and Michael, being an assistant district attorney, is going to try the case
and get them off.
And Lorenzo is going to write about it in the news. Now, another person who is a huge part, he was like the one person who went to visit the boys when they were in this reform school, was a priest. And he was played by, I believe, Robert De Niro. Yes, Robert De Niro. They get him
a priest, huh?
Yep. They get him to testify that he was with Tommy and John at a baseball game, basketball game, and
to give him an alibi?
Yes, and he produces the tickets. Who is not going to believe a priest?
What?
Yeah.
I mean, he's supposed to be a man of God. Why did he do that?
Because he I don't want to say he felt responsible, but he was their priest. They were altar boys.
Before it happened?
Before it happened. And he, like I said, he was one of the only people that went to visit these boys and knew of the abuse that they were suffering.
Well, if he knew, why didn't he say anything?
He tried, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Because I know, it's only just like attorney-client privilege and doctor-patient privilege.
Yeah, there's priest-parishioner, I guess. Oh, by the way, I'm ordained.
Anyway, is it the same thing as like when you're in a confessional? Father, I have sinned, whatever. Versus them saying something in Judi to him. Does it make a difference, or is it still under the?
Well, see, I don't know. He was in there as a visitor. Yes, he was a priest, but I'm not Catholic, so I don't know how that works. Anyway, it is an amazing story with plenty of unbelievable twists and turns. Too unbelievable for a few critics. If the novel were true, essentially a confession to a number of crimes, the church and school that Carcaterra attended denied the story. Of course, they're going to. And the district attorney said there is no record of a case similar to the one Carcaterra depicted. Carcaterra claimed that he only changed the names of the people and places to protect some people, but maintains that it is 100% accurate. I do believe that it came out that it was not a true story. I haven't went down the rabbit hole, but
I mean, something to consider going down the rabbit hole for each
yeah,
episode.
Because you would think something like that would have been like big fucking news, especially if you got a priest.
Why free?
Right. So,
but it's like, okay, so what? They have him buy the tickets for that specific day to give him an alibi?
That, or someone gave them to him. I don't know. I some specifics I don't remember, so I don't know if they were given to him, he found them, whatever. I don't know.
Miraculously found them. I'm pretty sure if they concocted the whole plan, which would make it premeditated.
Yeah.
I feel like he bought the tickets prior to make it legitimate.
Right. I mean, that would be my guess. If this is a true story.
If it was. I mean, if you look it up a little bit, can't you look up to see if that person's dead?
I mean, I'm sure you could. I don't know. But
What's his name?
Sean Noakes. SeanNokes.
S-E-A-N. Yeah, that's what I said. S-E-A-N.
Noakes. Nokes. But probably all that's going to come up, I mean, it's going to come up that he was a character in this book / movie.
Was he a character? Was that his real name?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It says he changed some of the names, but it's not specific on what names were changed. So anyway, while you're doing that, number 5 on the list is My Life Among the Serial Killers by Helen Morrison and Harold Goldberg. Finally, names I can fucking pronounce. Thank you. During her career as a forensic psychiatrist, Dr. Helen Morrison claims she interviewed over 60 serial killers. The culmination of her life's work was the subject of her novel, My Life Among the Serial Killers. Since its release, critics and serial killer experts have taken Morrison to task about the factual information in some of her outrageous claims. The first major criticism is that Morrison has her own classification for serial killers. She only considers someone a serial killer if there are 7 or more victims. She felt that 3 was too low. So she wanted the hard. Anyway, another major problem is her vast generalization of serial killers. According to her book, they are all men who are hollow shells of people with no real feelings or emotions. We call them husbands. Not serial killer. I'm sorry, that was bad. She also doesn't believe that there is a sexual motivation with serial murders. In another instance, she says that serial killers don't drink, do drugs, or smoke. However, serial killers like Henry Lee Lucas and Jeffrey Dahmer both had well-known problems with alcohol. And Jeffrey Dahmer killed more than 1,000 people. Another big mistake was that she got a movie mixed up with real life. She said Ed Gein had his mother stuffed and put her on the couch, even though Gein didn't do that. Ed Gein, Jesus, did dig up graves, but his mother's wasn't one of them. Morrison is actually thinking of Norman Bates from Psycho. This is an incredibly huge mistake for someone claiming to be one of the most prolific serial killer profiles of all time, which leads to more alarming criticism. There is no proof that she met with 60 serial killers. Critics felt that that number was way too high. For example, one of the most famous profilers of all times, Robert Ressler, I Miss Mindhunters, who started the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, has only spoken to about 40. Have you ever watched Mindhunters?
Wait.
It was, I believe, a Netflix series. 2 seasons was all it got.
Yeah, if it's got less than 4 seasons, I ain't watching it.
Oh, let me tell you.
Because I don't want to get attached and...
See, and that's what happened. Dad and I started watching it, we got attached, and they were like, we're not.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, I was so mad.
Because there was a show that came out on Oxygen. I really, really liked it. I forgot the name of it, but it only got 1 fucking season. I was pissed.
Yeah. Well, that's like Surviving Jack. Remember we used to watch that when we went on 2 seasons? And that was so good.
It was so fun.
It was funny seeing Christopher Maloney in a comedy.
Yeah.
I still get mad about that. Just saying. Okay, so incredibly, one of her most outrageous claims is that there is a serial killer gene. She further claims that the gene couldn't be passed from father to son. When asked to explain the science, she says it's too complicated. It's unclear if Morrison is sure how genetics work. At one point, she ponders if there's a genetic mutation that helped make someone like John Wayne Gacy look human. Which is crazy, because Gacy was, in fact, human. Not a good one. He was a shit human.
Just because... That's stupid.
I think I got a mosquito bite on my ankle. I'm itching my ankle. I'm not doing anything gross. So stop looking at me that way.
Who?
It's my ankle. If I could lift it, I would show you. It's got scratches on it.
You saw that, right?
Yep, I did it. You saw that, right? Okay, anyway. Number 4 on the list is Lost Girls by Caitlin Rother. I was trying to combine the words. Fuck off. Okay, so being a true crime writer, and I've never heard of this one.
I cannot. I think I've heard something about the Lost Girls or something.
I mean, I know there's a fiction book called Lost Girls, like a novel.
Yeah.
Being a true crime writer is an interesting way to make a living. I would love it.
Yeah.
To be fair, I would. Essentially, they make money by telling the story of other people's misery, which, okay, that makes me feel bad. But...
So instead of writing about the people, like the victims, not that, the killers or whatever need to be in the spotlight, but write about them to make them out to be more of a bigger piece of shit than they are.
Yeah. A notable example.
Go to bed.
I'm combining words. That's my problem. I'm reading faster than my mouth is working. Maybe that missing tooth is really fucking with me. I don't know. A notable example of when this became a major problem is Caitlin Rother's Lost Girls. The book tells the story of California rapist and murderer John Albert Gardner. Gardner was an out-of-prison sex offender who had a questionable parole record.
Dead pedophiles don't reoffend.
Yes, I have a shirt that says that. Gardner was an out-of-prison... Okay. He had a questionable parole record. Yet he managed to complete his parole term in 2008. In February of 2009, he kidnapped and murdered 14-year-old Amber Dubois, and in February 2010, he did the same to 17-year-old Chelsea King. He was arrested after DNA linked him to the crimes. He agreed to a plea deal and avoided the death penalty. I think...
Why?
Look, this is a personal belief, but...
Dead pedophiles don't reoffend.
If you've already been to prison for this and you get out and do it again, death penalty should definitely on the table. Like
no plea deal.
On the table, cut that up and serve it like a fucking shit pie.
No, but I've...
Have you seen them clips on TikTok?
Fuck yeah, man. That shit's funny. Her own mom fucking laughed. That shit's hilarious.
Right. Okay, so journalist Caitlin Rother heard about this story and wanted to write about it. So she contacted the families of both Dubois and King. The two families wanted nothing to do with the book. After all, they had tragically lost family members to a very violent act. Nor did they want the rape and murder of their daughters to be a source of profit for a journalist, which I could completely understand. Heaven forbid. Nope, I can't even think about it.
Because stuff like that, like you gotta think about the victims' families too.
Right. Well, even
because it's like that shit comes out that they're constantly having to fucking relive it.
Right.
On a daily basis.
And then I mean, honestly, even what we do is with true crime stories, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but we're not profiting off of it.
Oh, definitely not. Fuck no, I'm losing money on this shit. Like, subscribe, follow.
You
I know.
did it.
I know, right? I just did a total flip-flop there, didn't I? Sorry.
Crazy bitch.
Okay, so nevertheless, Rother went ahead with the novel, and at book signings, she was confronted by Amber's mother. Both families have asked that all proceeds go to charity. Rother said her intention of publishing the book was to tell an important story about a failure of the system involving sex offenders. Rother also said that she does make her living as a writer. She won't make a lot in the way of profit for Lost Girls, which I could totally see. Like, if I was a member of someone's family, I will help you with your book, but I want a portion of your proceeds to go to
like
a shelter, or to set up counseling for girls that have been through it,
or like a personal favorite foundation,
right?
family,
Something,
or create a foundation in the victim's name, like.
Yeah, I mean, I could 100% see some of it going to charity. I agree with that. So number 3 on this list is Echoes in the Darkness by Joseph Wamba. Sorry.
I fucking go to bed.
Okay, so on Friday, June 22nd, 1979, high school English teacher Susan Reinert and her 2 children, 11-year-old Karen and 10-year-old Michael, drove off into a hailstorm. At some point, they met up with at least 2 people. Susan was beaten and chained up. She was killed 24 to 36 hours later with a morphine overdose. Remember Julie on morphine? You look like a Christmas tree. Anyway.
I missed that top. It was a cute top.
It was. Her body was found in the trunk of her car, and the bodies of her children have never been found. Suspicion.
What makes them think there's even bodies? Maybe they were kidnapped.
Well, let's further read and see. I don't know, because this is also one I've never heard of. Suspicion immediately fell on Bill Bradfield, who was a fellow teacher. Susan and Bill had started an affair 5 years prior, while Reiner was still married, and Bradfield was living with another teacher.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so Susan...
That teacher gets around.
Yeah. He a hoe.
He a teacher slut.
Talk about hot for teacher. Anyway, so Susan had given Bill $25,000 to invest. Now, in the 70s,
That's a lot of
that's
money.
a lot of money. Yeah, that would...
And teachers don't make that much.
Right.
What?
Well, she was still married, so it doesn't say what her husband did. So, he was also named as beneficiary on her will and a number of life insurance policies. He was arrested and convicted in 1983 of all 3 murders. At some point after Bradfield's conviction, best-selling author and 14-year Los Angeles Police Department veteran.
Oh, I fucking can't with you.
Jim Wamba. Look, I'm tired and words are hard. Okay? Began writing a novel about the case. However, there was still one more interesting character to enter the chat, and that would be Dr. J. Smith. Smith was the former principal.
Oh, fuck.
At the school where Susan and Bill worked. Bill had blamed the murders on Smith, saying he was a dangerous man who had always wanted to kill Susan. J. Smith was doing a 2-year stint in prison for wearing a Brinks uniform to a Sears store and attempting to rob them. What was in the water? God. Okay. So the weekend Susan and her children went missing was the weekend that Smith was supposed to report to prison. Bradfield had also testified at Smith's robbery trial. This is Messy.
Messy as fuck. What did we do with that episode?
I don't know, but I think we might need to.
Need to. We got to.
He gave him an alibi, saying he had seen the former principal at a different place during the time of the robbery. Authorities believe that Bradfield and Smith made a deal where Bradfield would provide an alibi
And split the money?
if Smith helped him kill Susan.
Oh, shit. What?
It was an odd theory, considering Smith was found guilty of robbery. Nevertheless, Smith was charged and convicted of the 3 murders despite there being no physical evidence connecting him to the crime. He was sentenced to death in 1986.
Don't they end up living on death row for, like, forever?
In a lot of cases, yes. In 1987, Bob published Echoes in the Darkness that same year, and it was made into a two-part made-for-TV movie. However, in the 1990s, an interesting revelation came to light. Baugh had paid lead investigator John J. Holtz $50,000 for information. He also especially wanted information that implicated Smith, because he didn't think the book would work until something happened to Smith. What? Neither Wamba or Holtz deny the exchange of money. So they don't deny it. Smith sued, and while his suit wasn't successful, his conviction was reversed, and he was released in 1992. He proclaimed his innocence until his death at the age of 80 in 2009. Shortly after, he self-published his own book, Joseph Wamba and the J. Smith Case. Bradfield died from a heart attack in prison in January 1998 without ever telling Karen or Michael's father where the remains of his 2 children were.
That's must seem crazy. I cannot.
That one with the teachers and the... Oh, wow, that is crazy.
I guess when you work closely with each other.
Look, some people... Look, I look at it this way. I'm married. I love your dad. Mostly. But there is nobody at work worth fucking that up, and you don't shit where you eat.
Well,
you just
maybe
don't.
Maybe what's this nuts really like to spank bitches with rulers.
Maybe. I don't know. No. That's a personal preference. I know.
What did you say? What his reason for wanting her dead in the first place?
It doesn't say.
Not that it's right, but if you're gonna kill somebody, have a reason. If not, it just looks like you're bored and stupid.
I mean, maybe at this point we might have to do a little research on this case and maybe we can find that information.
Yeah.
So.
The only way, yeah. I mean, I'd kill for my kids.
Yeah.
I'd kill for you.
Yeah, I would kill for family.
I'd pee on Dad.
Settle down, R. Kelly.
I would pee on his mom. Anyway.
Yeah, okay, so number 2 on the list.
Yep, on to the next.
Is Fatal Vision by Joe McGinnis. And I don't know if I had...
Yeah, you said that right.
Well, yeah, that's an easy one. That's easy. Some of them... Carcatera, say it.
Carcatera.
Well, that's because you just heard me say it.
No, I'm just good at pronouncing shit, like you.
Okay, but not anonymity.
I read it how it looked like it was pronounced.
Okay.
I've never heard that word before. But either way...
Nope. Nope. You can't
That's what I fucking thought.
You can't make me say it.
That's what I fucking
Not
thought.
many people can say it. Remember when...
I can.
Remember the Facebook post people were trying to sound it out? When he lost his card or ID or something like that,
Yeah.
someone posted it. I'm not the only one. I can say enough. Nope.
Can you
I
spell
can't.
it?
Enough, yeah.
Okay, let's not put them all out there like
Okay.
that.
Love you, Uno.
Speaking of which...
Okay, no, come on, let's get through this. We got 2 to do.
That's that chapter.
Okay. So, Fatal Vision, Joe McGinnis. Journalist Joe McGinnis first rose to fame when his novel, The Selling of the President in 1968, The Selling of the President in 1968 became a bestseller. The novel was first to expose the way presidential candidates are marketed to the public, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we don't care. In 1982, McGinnis contacted Green Beret Captain Jeffrey McDonald.
Ooh, McDonald's?
No, stop it.
I'm hungry.
In 1970, according to McDonald, a group of hippies broke into his home in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This is actually an interesting case. And severely beat and stabbed his pregnant wife and 2 daughters to death. All the bodies had been stabbed over 30 times with a knife and another 10 times with an ice pick. McDonald, on the other hand, had suffered a concussion and only 1 stab wound that wasn't even close to lethal.
You really know what that sounds like, right? Why would they go hard on a pregnant woman and 2 kids and barely harm the father?
So for years, McDonald was suspected of the murders and was investigated.
Suspected he did it.
And investigated by the Army before he was indicted by a grand jury. In 1979, McDonald was set to go to trial. Guinness contacted him and essentially told him that part of the proceeds of the book would go to help pay for his defense, and that McGinnis's book would show McDonald as an innocent victim. Because of the deal, McGinnis was given amazing access to the defense case. McGinnis even sat beside McDonald in trial and lived with him at one point. After McDonald was found guilty, McGinnis wrote letters showing sympathy for him, all while pumping him for information. McGinnis published Fatal Vision in 1983, and it was the complete opposite of what McDonald expected. McGinnis claimed he had changed his mind early on in the case in regards to McDonald's innocence, but never told McDonald this. He wrote the book spelling out that McDonald was guilty. McDonald sued and settled out of court, with McDonald getting $325,000. Now again, in the 80s, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
McGinnis's relationship with McDonald was so controversial that journalist Janet Malcolm wrote about it in a famous article in the New Yorker, which was eventually expanded into a book called The Journalist and the Murderer. In 2012, documentary maker Errol Morris published A Wilderness of Error, which argues that McDonald is actually innocent.
But why would they think that? When he was barely harmed and his entire family was fucking butchered.
Yeah.
What, were they tired?
It's a stumper. I mean, look, you could go for they went for the weaker ones, and maybe he fought back. He was a Green Beret, for fuck's sakes. So,
yeah, but
so I'm just saying the story.
Where was he during?
On this list is probably one of the most famous true crime books made into a movie. There was some, I believe, a remake was made. I don't remember. We rented the original once.
What?
Of the movie. The book and movie is called In Cold Blood.
Okay, I think I heard of it.
We rented it once. We tried. But the picture was so dark, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
So I think we got like 10 minutes into it, and I said, I don't have time for this shit. So, In Cold Blood is often considered to be one of the first true crime novels. It was also the first nonfiction novel published in America and is considered one of the greatest American novels ever written. It is a story of the Clutter family murder in 1959 in Holcomb, Kansas. Parolees Richard Hickok
Shut up!
and Perry Smith broke into the Clutter's house to rob them. They ended up shooting the 4 family members living at the house, including the 2 teenage daughters. Truman Capote, who wrote the book, I forgot to say that. Truman Capote and longtime friend To Kill a Mockingbird favorite book ever. Author Harper Lee traveled to Holcomb and did extensive research on the family and the crime. This was before the killers were even caught. After they were arrested, Capote did extensive interviews with two murderers, especially Smith. The novel had been quite controversial since its release, in large part owing to the fact that Capote was adamant that the novel was immaculately factual, which isn't exactly true.
See, all I got from this list was not to trust somebody with the last name Smith. That's all I'm getting. That's my mom's getting.
Oh, there you go. Okay, nope, I read that part already. According to Kansas Bureau of Investigation, the KBI, files, it appears that Capote exaggerated or even changed facts in a number of aspects of the novel to benefit the story. For example, he got basic facts wrong, like the price for which Clutter's horse was sold. Other times, it embellishes the truth, like the relationship between Undersheriff Wendell Meyer's wife, Josephine, and Smith. In the book, they have a tender, close relationship. But when interviewed in 1966, Josephine denied their relationship was anything like that. It also,
but that could be a lie too, though.
Yes, it could be. So, I mean, that's a he said, she said situation. It also appeared that KBI lead investigator Alvin Dewey and Capote had a controversial working relationship.
Alvin Dewey.
I know, I'm not my name. For example, Dewey's wife was hired on with a lucrative salary to be an advisor on the 1967 adaptation of the novel. For his part, Dewey let Capote look at the files on the case, even going as far as to let Capote read 16-year-old Nancy Clutter's diary.
That's just wrong.
Right. The relationship also affected the way Capote writes about Dewey. Dewey is depicted as a hardworking, no-nonsense lawman who cracks the case after 6 weeks, risking mental and physical health to bring the men to justice. When in reality, Dewey had been given a tip on Hickok and Smith on December 4th, just 19 days after the murder. The tip had come from Floyd Wells, who used to work on the Clutter's farm. He had been in prison with Hickok and told him that Clutter kept a safe full of money on the farm. Dewey apparently ignored the tip, following his own belief that the murder was someone local who had a vendetta against the Clutters. As a result, Hickok and Smith were on the lam until December 30th. Some investigators had raised serious questions about what Smith and Perry did during those 6 weeks. Some have even suggested that they committed other crimes, such as murdering 4 members of the Walker family in Osprey, Florida. However, both Smith and Perry passed a polygraph, and their fingerprints didn't match those at the scene. Hickok and Smith bodies were exhumed to perform DNA tests. However, they found that the samples had deteriorated too much and were unable to be certain if there was a match.
Yep, too degraded.
So, there is a bonus book on this list.
Ooh.
I have not read it.
What is it?
It's called If I Did It.
Okay.
By O.J. Simpson.
Fuck out of here.
Now, I have my belief on that. And I know I'm in the minority. And I don't care.
What? He didn't do it?
He didn't do it.
What?
He didn't do it.
The thing says I did it.
No. If I did it.
Oh.
Well, okay, see, now he did lose the wrongful death trial, the suit, where he owed the Goldman and Brown family a lot of money. So Ron Goldman's dad wanted the if in the title to be really, really small on the cover. And therefore it was changed by the publisher, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, see, the if is in the middle of the, like right there on the I. So you can't see it unless you know to look for it.
Gotcha.
But I will tell you I believe he covered up for one of his own children. And there is a book about that. And I've listened to the audiobook. And
Why would one of his children kill their mother? Because of the affair she was supposedly having?
no. Well, they were divorced, so whatever she was doing with her own lady beds was her business. They were divorced.
Oh, yeah.
But if you read this book, it talks about his son having like an anger disorder and being on medication and owning knives because he was a chef. And
well, if he covered for him, why would he say anything?
What do you mean, why would he say anything?
Yeah. OJ said like OJ said that, or is it someone's just...
No, I'll send you the link for the book.
Okay.
I would have to go, well, I mean,
No, it's fine.
obviously,
Continue.
if I did it, it's pretty self-explanatory why it's a controversial book. Obviously, he was found not guilty of the murders.
Yeah, but didn't he get tried for something else?
Yes, it was a robbery involving memorabilia that had at one point belonged to him, and he went to get it back. Yeah, stupid.
But he went to prison for that?
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid. It's his shit.
I believe it was like stolen from him, or I don't know the exact. I remember when it happened, it being like huge and all this other shit. But hold on, let me look into my library because I know, like, I've read it. Hear all the shit all the shit I listen to.
Yeah. See, I can't just listen. I need to read. That my job. I can't really just do that. Listen. I have to listen for everybody else.
See, I listen to this at work or in my car if I'm driving myself. Wow, Jesus. Don't be judging me on my shit either.
We listen and we don't. But not today. I'm too tired to listen and not judge. I'm judging, bitch.
Oh my god.
Well, what's the name of it?
I'm looking!
Just search for it. Instead of scroll. You clearly fucking read a lot. Scroll for like the last eternity.
I think it's just simply OJ Didn't Do It is the name of the book. OJ is Innocent and I Can Prove It by William C. Deere. It is very interesting, and it points out, and I thought this long before I ever knew someone wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And he brings up very compelling points of...
Yeah, because I think everything that they had was circumstantial.
Yeah.
I
mean, was he an abusive piece of shit husband? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of husbands that are abusive that don't kill. But yeah. So that was a bonus on the list of controversial true crime books. Again, I have not read that one.
Yeah, there's actually a few of those that I would actually like to. I personally would like to do research on and do an episode on.
Yeah, I would actually like to listen to Sleepers. Let me see if that's on here. Maybe. He's written a lot of books.
Well, you gotta rack up that money.
Okay. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed our list and all of our nonsense in between, our fucking up words and belching and all the other
You
nonsense.
always burp. I don't think there's ever been an episode we've done without you fucking burping.
I know. Or yawning.
Yeah, that
Yawning's
part.
big.
Yes.
Yawning's big for
Yes, and me. Sorry, guys.
me. So, yeah, don't forget to look up our merch and stay tuned for
Our big update.
our big
surprise.
announcement. It's going to be super, super, super cool. So on that note, have a great week, and we will see you next time. Bye!
Bye.